These waters are home to an incessant stream of container ships. Every 8 minutes, a ship passes through what is surely the main artery of world maritime trade. This is not the Panama Canal or Egypt's Suez Canal, but the Strait of Malacca in Southeast Asia. Bordered by Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, the strait is an essential gateway for Asia, linking it to India, the Middle East, and Europe. Today, almost 40% of the world's maritime trade passes through this route, which is on the verge of saturation, a situation that could soon change radically. Between geopolitical conflicts and acts of piracy, the region is currently experiencing tensions that could turn the course of international trade upside down. Above all, one of the bordering countries, Thailand, is in the process of setting up a colossal land bridge megaproject to save ships time and pocket the financial windfall that their passage represents. As you can imagine, today I'm taking you to Asia to discover one of the world's most ambitious contemporary projects. Malacca is an important city in Malaysia. Its historic center holds much of the country's history, and the city attracts many tourists. Among other activities, they can enjoy the tuk-tuks that run through the city armed with multicolored neon lights and amplified music. But Malacca is best known for having given its name to a strait, a place which, over the centuries, has become a hub for the world's shipping routes. To understand this, let's go back to geography class for a moment. This natural waterway stretches for almost 900 kilometers. Depending on the location, this arm of the sea is between 3 and 393 kilometers wide, with a minimum depth of 25 meters. Its eastern gateway is the Singapore Strait. It is then bordered by Peninsula Malaysia on one side and the Indonesian island of Sumatra on the other. A corridor that links the Pacific and Indian Oceans, avoiding the need to bypass the Indonesian archipelago. A prospect that saves many days sailing for ships traveling between Asia and India, the Middle East, Africa, or Europe. An additional figure to prove the site's importance: it is estimated that 16 million barrels of oil a day pass through this strait, representing almost 15% of the world's daily consumption of black gold. A strategic position that attracts a great deal of envy. Indeed, for centuries, foreign nations have fought time and again to gain control of this seaway. In 1982, the strait came under the protection of 3 countries: Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. They are mandated by the United Nations to manage its administration and ensure its security. These 3 countries are also faced with the threat of pirates, most of whom are Malaysian and Indonesian. The strait has long been a target for ransom and vessel hijacking operations. After a resurgence of these malicious acts in the 1990s, the situation had become relatively safe in the Strait of Malacca. A state of affairs that no longer applies. In the first 3 months of 2023 alone, 25 armed attacks were recorded in the area. The phenomenon is worrying ship owners, some of whom have already rerouted their vessels to safer areas, even if this means extending the journey time. And some countries in the region are taking advantage of the situation to revive projects proposing a shortcut to the current route. Thailand is a case in point. Since the 17th century, the country has been planning to bypass the straits by building a canal. The chosen location is the Kra Isthmus, an arm of land separating the Gulf of Thailand from the Andaman Sea. Numerous projects have been proposed to realize this titanic ambition, but for historical and economic reasons, they have never been realized. Until recently, the canal project was officially known as Route 9A. The latest version envisaged a canal 128 kilometers long, 25 meters deep, and 450 meters wide. This maritime route would have used numerous sets of locks, as in the Panama Canal, perhaps with the same problems. A marvel of engineering, the Panama Canal is an extraordinary historical construction that today finds itself at the mercy of the vagaries of the weather, as we recently saw in a video. If you're interested in this subject, I've included the link in the description. Another limitation of the project is its prohibitive cost. Meeting in committee to discuss the canal project, Thai parliamentarians pointed out that it would be too expensive to build in relation to its potential future return. What's more, the new canal would create a dividing line that could be considered an internal border in Thailand between the south and the rest of the country, a prospect that does not please the authorities at all. This part of the country, and Patani province in particular, is plagued by insurgencies led by separatist movements. Several thousand people have been killed since 2004. A physical separation could give new impetus to the separatist movement. Finally, the Sea Canal project was officially abandoned in 2020, but not the idea of opening up a new route for global traffic. This desire now takes another form, that of a land bridge. Specifically, the project aims to connect two Thai ports, Chumphon and Ranong. To bridge the 90-kilometer distance between the two cities, a road, a railway line, and a pipeline are planned. Both ports will be deep-water ports to ensure maximum cargo capacity. The port infrastructure will be able to accommodate all types of vessels, including the huge Panamax and Neo-Panamax container ships. Once in operation, these two ports will be able to handle some 20 million containers a year. This activity is expected to create almost 100,000 jobs and boost the region's economy for decades to come. Estimated cost of the project, $35.6 billion, a colossal amount announced by the Thai Prime Minister in office since August 2023. The government officially gave the green light to this mega-project on October 16, 2023. According to the government's plans, work is due to start in September 2025 and be spread over 8 years and 4 phases. However, other observers believe that the project will not be completed before 2039. To finance its Titanic project, Bangkok is looking abroad to attract investors. At the end of last year, the Prime Minister undertook a series of trips in the hope of attracting future partners. At present, many countries seem to be interested, notably in the Middle East and the United States. But one country seems to have more appetite than the others for this project: China. The Strait of Malacca is a strategic gateway for the country. Much of its trade with Europe, the Near and Middle East and Africa passes through this corridor. The same applies to its energy supplies. By 2035, the International Energy Agency estimates that 85% of its oil supplies will pass through the Strait of Malacca. This is not a new dependency, but one that has been worrying the country's political elites for the past 20 years. As early as 2003, the then Chinese President Hu Jintao made his concerns public. Since then, Beijing's strategists have been constantly trying to resolve what is known as the Malacca Dilemma. This strategic lock leaves the country potentially vulnerable in the event of a conflict with another state. The constant trade and diplomatic escalation between China and the USA unfortunately makes this sad prospect of conflict a real possibility. A possible blockade of the strait by Washington and its allies in the region would therefore be conceivable in the event of war. It remains to be seen whether this company will be attractive and therefore profitable for investors. On this point, there is room for doubt. On a trip to Beijing to promote the project, the Prime Minister asserted that the land bridge would save 6 to 9 days, compared with the route through the Strait of Malacca, 1,200 kilometers below. While this is a substantial gain, it is less obvious than other strategic crossings, such as the Panama or Suez canals, which save weeks of sailing. What's more, logistics for shipping companies will be far more complex in Thailand. A first ship will have to arrive at the first port, transport the freight 100 kilometers further on, where a second ship will have to take over for the rest of the journey. Nevertheless, traffic in the Strait of Malacca will continue to grow over the next few years. Today, 86,000 cargo ships pass through every year. This figure could rise to 126,000 in 10 years' time, representing a 46% increase in traffic. And at present, the navigation solutions available are imperfect. The Lombok and Sunda Straits, for example, are both used to cross the Indonesian archipelago between the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea. But this is achieved at the cost of considerably longer journeys. This is difficult to reconcile with a globalized economy that demands ever greater speed in the transport of goods. In this quest for logistical optimization, a second country has revealed its ambitions as an alternative to the Strait of Malacca: Malaysia. This country, which has built part of its wealth around the strait, has no intention of letting itself be overtaken without a response. Its solution? The East Coast Rail Link. Behind the name lies an ambition to link two ports on the Malaysian peninsula, which could eventually become a shortcut to the Strait of Malacca. Construction began in 2017, with plans to link the peninsula's west coast with its east coast. The new rail link will connect the port of Kuantan on the South China Sea to Port Klang, the country's main port city at the end of the Strait of Malacca. A titanic project estimated at nearly $13 billion, it could well undermine Thailand's ambitions, even if the time saved will be less. The two projects have one thing in common: China. Indeed, Beijing is also financing a very large part of the Malaysian project. This omnipresence of investment in new transport infrastructure development projects is no coincidence. Since 2013, China has in fact been trying to develop a strategic program aimed at being better connected to the rest of the world. Known as the New Silk Roads, it now involves more than 130 countries around the world. Beijing is investing in and buying up infrastructure to better connect its country and promote economic exchanges. From the port of Gwadar in Pakistan to that of Piraeus in Greece, China is multiplying its projects. According to official figures, Beijing has already committed over $120 billion in investments. In Malaysia, these investments include the East Coast Rail Link. In fact, this new infrastructure is significantly ahead of the Thai Landbridge. In February 2024, the country's authorities claimed that over 60% of the work had already been completed. While in 2017, the completion date was announced for 2024, today it's December 31st, 2027 that is ticked off the calendar to celebrate the line's full completion. It remains to be seen whether the Thai project will take shape to overshadow this new Malaysian route. Well, that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching and see you soon on Looking For. Goodbye.